The Legend of Gashanami, narrated by L. Patricia Virgo.
This African legend may be the source of stories about rolling calf that are told in Jamaica to this very date. This creature is an unpleasant, ghostly black bull that seems to enjoy following and terrifying its victims when they are unfortunate enough to be caught out late at night. He is likely to confront you on some lonely moonlit road in the bush, where he will stand with eyes dripping fire, shaking his enormous horns and striking sparks as he paws the ground. Around his neck, there will probably be a rattling chain. Not that one should endeavor to check this out, because if you touch him, you will surely die. It is said, however, that if you defeat this bull in mortal combat, you will live forever, but there have been no claims so far for this Lonsdale belt of life everlasting. This Jamaican calf is only a servant to the original African bull Gashanami, the god of vengeance, who had the ability to grow to enormous size at will. An encounter with any member of this bovine family, however, is to be discouraged because folks go missing after they cross the path of these mad bulls. The favorite haunt of the calves of our terror bull seems to have been in the rugged cockpit country in Trelawney, but I am sure that they get around quite a bit. There may very well be numerous calves from Gashanami, because it is said that murderers and butchers become rolling calves when they leave this mortal toil. Or do you think it's true that plantation owners made up the legend and passed it around to stop the slaves from wandering at night? Gashanami bellowed out his terrifying challenge to the surrounding countryside. This gigantic bull stood a magnificent sight, his fiery eyes surveying the valley below, where he had been on the rampage with his calves, bringing terror to the surrounding villages, slaughtering all that stood in their path, for no one ever survived such an encounter. The villagers were so afraid that most were staying close by their huts, where they hoped that they would be safe from this orgy of bloodshed. All that is, except a beautiful maiden of the tribe who seemed to be immune to the dread that was seeping through the community. She was in need of a clean garment, so collecting her washing materials together, she left the circle of huts and headed for the river. It was a warm day, and she sang as she rubbed and beat her dress on the large, now smooth stone that sat close by the water. So engrossed was she in her labor that she failed to notice the river's edge to rinse her apparel. She was startled by the reflection of some large creature that stood behind her, and spinning around, she found herself looking directly into the eyes of the mighty bull. Dropping her laundry, she sprang to one side to escape this monstrosity, but to no avail, for Gashanami lunged forward, and the screaming girl was impaled on one of its enormous horns. He tossed her about in the air like some old discarded rag doll before flinging her gory corpse up into a nearby tree, where it hung and bled until she was found by a horrified party of villagers the following day. It was wailing and gnashing of teeth at the funeral of yet another victim of this duppy beast, and all was despair for the future, when a warrior leapt to his feet, shook his fists to the heavens, and cried out for revenge. "Who will follow me into the forest to slay our oppressor?" It was Koa, son of the chieftain, a favored fighter amongst the young men of the tribe. Everyone turned away in shame, for none of his people had the courage to face their worst fear. Undeterred, Koa took up his trusted axe and left the cowardly village, determined to take his own personal vengeance to the god. Starting at the riverbank, he located the spoor of the murderous animal and began his relentless mission to find and strike it dead. He soon became aware that he was on the right track, because he followed the gigantic footprints to devastated bushland and the remains of unfortunate animals who had been unlucky enough to meet up with Gashanami. Hearing an enormous disturbance ahead, our prince climbed high up into a giant cottonwood tree, wedged himself securely in a branch fork, and began to sing. Gashanami, you killed my mother, but you can't kill me. Over and over he dared the bull to mortal combat. Gashanami, you killed my sister, but you can't kill me. The terror of the bush replied with a stupendous roar, lumbering at the tree, snorting from smoke-filled nostrils and clanking its weighty chain. Crash! The bull struck the tree a shuddering blow, causing Koa to cling tightly to his protector. Gashanami, you killed my brother, but you can't kill me. The bull doubled in size and rushed at the trunk of the cotton tree with a resounding thud that shook it to its very roots. But our mighty denizen of the forest held firm. Once again the duppy grew to even more monstrous proportions, and the duel between two of nature's giants waged for hour after frightening hour until the relentless slamming by the massive head slowly began to take its toll. The white trunk started to yield and bend under the constant bombardment. Over and over it leaned against its clinging occupant, was coming dangerously close to Gashanami's blooded horns. So our brave warrior sang once again, I see dry trees fall, but green trees never. So bear up for me now, bear up forever. It almost appeared as if the heroic tree shook itself, then groaning and creaking, it slowly raised its head to stand once again, tall and proud among its neighbors. So this marathon battle between Gashanami, the cottonwood tree, Koa, and magic waged for 2 whole days and 2 seemingly endless nights. On the morning of the 3rd day, Gashanami was exhausted and unable to match the magical chanting of Koa, so he lay down to gather his breath, falling into a deep, weary sleep. This was the moment of victory. As Koa slithered down the tree, raised his patient axe, and delivered a death blow to the huge terror of the forest. Koa is now eternal, but where are the calf followers of the god of vengeance? Seeking their revenge in the wild places of Jamaica, that's for sure.